Welcome to our fourth video going over the best episodes of Creepshow. Whether you're a longtime fan like myself or just now discovering this awesome show, we've got another triple shot of standout spooky stories. Oh, and of course, if you want to watch the full episodes for yourself, I'll have links down below. So grab a shovel and dig yourself a plot, because these scary stories are coming in hot. Oh, and before I forget, if you're having the issue of the background music drowning out the narration, be sure to turn off stable volume. It will help a lot. That option equalizes all sounds, so it makes normally subtle background music blaringly loud. Okay, enough bullshit. Time for some scary stories. Our first story is titled The Companion, from Season 1, Episode 4, originally airing on October 17th, 2019. The episode opens in the summer of 1987, introducing us to 13-year-old Harold, who is fishing alone at a nearby creek. His friend Smitty arrives and notices bruises and scratches on Harold. Harold confides that his older brother Billy has been abusing him again. Smitty expresses concern and jokingly offers to beat up his brother. After a short conversation, Smitty leaves Harold, saying he has to tend to his visiting grandmother. Shortly after Smitty's departure, ominous, heavy footsteps can be heard on the wooden bridge overhead.
Smitty?
Billy appears and a confrontation ensues. Harold manages to escape and runs into the woods. While fleeing, Harold stumbles upon an old, fenced-off cemetery and an abandoned farmhouse. In the field, he encounters a grotesque scarecrow impaled with a cane through its chest. In the distance, Billy can be heard threatening to kill Harold if he finds him. Desperate for protection, Harold removes the cane, unknowingly bringing the scarecrow to life. He rushes into the farmhouse to hide, quickly locking the door after entering. Harold assumes Billy is trying to bash the door down. Only to look up and see, peering through the small, dusty window of the door, the newly revived, monstrous scarecrow. Multiple tendril-like vines reach under the door. The scarecrow effortlessly unlocks it and threateningly walks into the farmhouse. Harold, running for his life, falls through the decaying staircase and into the basement, where he discovers the corpse of the former homeowner, Brenner. He finds a note explaining that Brenner, grieving the loss of his wife, created the scarecrow as a companion. He had innocently obsessed, diving into the detailed creation of this being as a much-needed respite from the loneliness and grief. One day, Brenner realized his companion was missing something, a final touch. While looking through his wife's things, he found a fabric heart that had been sewn by her. Thinking this was just what the companion needed, Brenner inserted the heart into the scarecrow's chest. One day, while brewing some tea with the intention of resting on the porch next to his creation, he noticed it moving, breathing. Brenner dropped his cup in shock as the scarecrow animated. The creature picked up the fallen cup with its tendrils and handed it to Brenner. Brenner took the cup and sat beside the scarecrow on the porch, content that his creation had come to life. Initially, this surprising new life appeared benign, but the scarecrow became violently protective, killing a Girl Scout who came to the farm. Horrified, Brenner subdued the scarecrow by impaling it with his cane and, overwhelmed with guilt, took his own life. As the scarecrow searches for Harold in the basement, Harold attempts to use Brenner's gun but finds it empty. He uses it to fend off the scarecrow and escapes upstairs. The scarecrow ensnares Harold with its tendrils, but Harold grabs the cane, causing the creature to halt. Realizing the cane controls it, Harold impales the scarecrow, returning it to its dormant state. Empowered by this discovery, Harold devises a plan to confront Billy. He returns home and quietly sews Billy into his bed while he sleeps. Once all the pieces of Harold's plan are in place, he wakes Billy. Thinking Harold will be easy pickings, Billy tries to get out of bed, but he's trapped. Cane in hand, Harold ominously points it at Billy. We see the scarecrow melting in the corner of the room. It quickly emerges and kills Billy as Harold watches, pleased with his new companion. The segment concludes with the iconic creep observing the events from outside the window, adding a meta-horror element to the story. The Companion, an original story crafted for the Creepshow series, embodies the spirit of classic EC comics. Like many tales in these comics, the episode revolves around the concept of poetic justice. The narrative centers on a bullied boy and a supernatural scarecrow, echoing the themes of retribution prevalent in 1950s horror comics. Fans appreciated The Companion for its blend of nostalgia and horror. The episode's straightforward yet chilling storyline resonated with audiences, and the practical effects received particular praise for their effectiveness in creating suspense. Viewers also noted the episode's successful capture of the original Creepshow essence, making it a standout in the series, and another reason to avoid scarecrows. Our second story is titled Skeletons in the Closet, from Season 3, Episode 2, originally airing on September 30th, 2021. The episode opens with Danielle talking to Burke, who's excitedly showing her a newly acquired movie prop, an official screen-used Sentinel sphere from Phantasm. After a bit of innocent flirting, Burke leaves. Danielle then notices two teenagers touching the props and quickly confronts them. Lampini, a passionate film memorabilia collector and owner of the museum, steps in and uses the opportunity to educate the teens. He explains that what they were touching is a piece of history, just like everything else in the museum. He laments how practical effects and props are becoming a lost art in the age of digital filmmaking. Seemingly unimpressed, one of the teens tries to peek past a roped-off area. Lampini stops her, saying there are no spoilers, and that if she wants to see what's behind the curtain, she'll have to come back for its unveiling. He then hands them two shiny golden tickets. Later that night, after the museum closes, Lampini is frustrated to learn that a prop from The Omen was bid-sniped at the last second by his nemesis, Bateman. A rival collector, Bateman was also his late father's enemy, driven by jealousy after Lampini's father married the woman Bateman loved. Bateman arrives at the museum just after closing. Danny, unaware of who he is, lets him in for a look around, but tells him he'll have to pay full admission to see the complete collection. As Danny explains that a chainsaw prop was actually used by Dennis Hopper on film, Bateman's pompous demeanor gives away his identity. When Lampini mentions that the original chainsaw from the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre is considered a lost artifact, Bateman smugly reveals that he, in fact, just bought the original from Toby Hooper's estate sale. Ever the businessman, Lampini offers to buy or trade for it, but Bateman, always holier-than-thou, refuses. Sensing that Bateman isn't here for business, Lampini tells him to cut to the chase. Bateman, hearing rumors about a new exhibit, demands to see it. Giving in, Lampini pulls back the rope and unveils a disturbing line of actual human skeletal remains that were used as props in movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Poltergeist, and even the original Creep from the first Creepshow film. Bateman attempts to extort Lampini for the Creepshow prop, accusing him of grave robbing to obtain the skeleton from Dawn of the Dead, and threatens to expose him unless he hands over the prized movie prop.
I admit, I'm impressed.
No, you're not. I gotta ask you again, what do you really want?
I'm not a greedy man. I'll settle for this fellow over here. This is an interesting little tidbit from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. It turns out our zombie friend from Dawn, with the help of makeup magician Tom Savini, was built over the skeleton of an unknown human donor, acquired from a medical supply house.
Which is standard practice. A lot of movie skeletons are real.
Fair enough. The skeleton was eventually afforded a proper burial at Mount Lebanon Cemetery in Pittsburgh. The remains were stolen. That picture was taken 3 days ago. Would you care to tell her? Or should I? Your boyfriend's a grave robber, a certified ghoul.
Tensions escalate as Bateman threatens both Lampini and Danny. In the heat of the moment, Bateman is killed with a knife boot prop from the James Bond movie, From Russia with Love. To cover up the incident, Lampini and Danny decide to, brutally skin and display Bateman's skeleton in the museum, disguising it as another prop. Later, Danny confronts Lampini about the grave robbing. He confesses that he and Burke did dig up and restore the skeleton with guidance from Tom Savini himself. During the argument, it's revealed that Lampini's own father's remains are on display too, as a skeleton from 1963's Jason and the Argonauts. The skeleton comes to life, killing Burke with the Phantasm Sentinel Sphere. Then, in a nod to Psycho, the reanimated skeleton recreates the infamous shower stabbing scene, this time with Danny as the victim. Just as Lampini finds Danny's body, the skeleton bursts through the door to get to him. And yes, we all know what that's from. Seed of Chucky.
I can't think of a thing to say.
No, wait, The Simpsons.
Here's Johnny! Don't!
Or, was that a parody of something? Anyway.
Are you out of your f***ing mind?
There's a final showdown between Lampini and Bateman's skeleton. Just when all seems lost, the skeletal remains of Lampini's father come to life and fight Bateman one last time. Just like a scene out of Jason and the Argonauts, though personally I prefer Dead Meat James's name for them instead.
They're bastard scallies. No skin, no service, you fucks!
Lampini's father wins their lifetime and death time rivalry. When the store reopens, the teens return and are again unimpressed by the exhibits. Lampini walks up to a new showcase he calls his Mona Lisa. It's the skeletal remains of Danny. He tells the teens that these props are magical, that they never really die. He then kisses the skeleton, and the teens run off in horror. The segment ends with the new creep taking a double selfie, with both his current self and his creepier original version. Skeletons in the Closet is a love letter to horror history and horror fandom. The story revolves around a museum owner showcasing horror film props, including real human skeletons used in movies, a nod to real-life practices in movies like 1982's Poltergeist, and the real skull used in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disney. The episode is filled with references to iconic horror films, such as Psycho and Dawn of the Dead, and even includes a replica of the original Creep from Creepshow. These elements make movie horror fans like myself happy, and it shows that the people creating these stories and sets truly love horror just as much as the fans do. While some viewers found the episode's heavy reliance on references a bit overwhelming, many appreciated the affectionate nods to horror classics. The episode sparked discussions about the line between homage and originality, with fans debating its effectiveness in balancing fan service with storytelling. Overall, Skeletons in the Closet was recognized for its ambitious attempt to intertwine horror history with a contemporary narrative. Our final segment is from a story titled Time Out from Season 3, Episode 5, originally airing on October 21st, 2021. The story begins at the funeral of Tim's grandfather, Joseph, a World War II veteran. While exploring his grandfather's belongings, young Tim discovers an antique key. The child assumes it belongs to a nearby antique wooden dresser. The boy unlocks it, and the family cat enters. Just as Tim is about to step inside, his grandmother pulls him out and scolds him for going near it. The young boy recounts how his grandfather would go into the dresser with a book, only to come out moments later claiming he had finished it. His grandmother warns him, while you can play tricks with time, you can never cheat it, and that he'll understand when he's older. As the boy walks away, the grandmother asks where the cat is. Tim looks at the dresser. She lovingly tells him not to worry and says she'll find her. She opens the dresser to find a cat-shaped pile of ash, and the cat's collar. Years later, Tim is now a law student. He and his roommate are chatting about a couple of girls they're into. His roommate leaves to go talk to them, while Tim stays behind to study. That's when there's a knock at the door. Movers arrive, delivering the old dresser he hasn't seen since childhood. They hand him an envelope. Inside is the key and a note that says, "Dear Timothy, when you don't have the time, go inside this closet and you'll find it. But be careful. Never go inside without the key, and don't get greedy. Stolen hours are never free." Just as Tim is about to open the dresser, the front door opens. In walks his roommate with the two girls. Like any college kid, Tim decides to party with his crush instead of studying for his upcoming exam. The next morning, his crush wakes him up and reminds him the exam is starting soon. Panicking, Tim sees the note and remembers the magical dresser. With no time to study, he uses the key and opens the dresser. The doors creak open. Tim sits at the desk inside. Reality seems to warp around him. His watch shows time accelerating. He mockingly thanks his grandmother for the gift. When Tim exits, only moments have passed outside. Time inside the dresser flows differently. He begins using the dresser to study for exams, gaining hours inside while minutes tick by outside. At the exam, his roommate notices Tim's hair and beard are noticeably longer. Time passes. Tim becomes engaged. He continues using the armoire to climb professionally. He's handed a big case. Instead of putting in real-world hours, he enters the dresser with a disorganized box of papers. From our view, he exits a moment later, everything organized, the work done. He quickly rises to senior associate at his firm, but he starts to notice signs of aging. While assembling his baby's crib, his wife jokes that he needs to see an eye doctor, teasing him about becoming an old man. When their baby arrives, instead of dealing with the 3 a.m. feeding, Tim takes more casework into the dresser. Again, he exits with everything completed. He snuggles into bed with his wife and newborn son. 5 years pass. Tim plays catch with his son, but his rapid aging becomes painfully clear. He struggles just to get off the ground. A partner gives him another case due Monday. Again, instead of facing it head-on, Tim returns to the dresser. Later, we see Tim promoted again. His old college roommate attends the celebration. Tim is visibly older. When his friend pats him on the back, Tim collapses. At the hospital, the doctor tells him he had a mini-stroke and that his body is far more worn than someone his age should be. His wife urges him to slow down, unaware of the dresser's power. Tim realizes he's failing to live his life. He puts the key away in a box, vowing to live normally. 3 years later, a big opportunity arises, but Tim isn't on the short list. Instead of accepting it, he returns to the dresser, more obsessed than ever. His family starts to notice his absence. His wife pleads with him. She says the promotions and money don't matter. The only thing that matters is their time together. But Tim has taken on an impossible case. Backed into a corner, he limps down the hallway, determined to use the dresser again. His son, woken by the noise, sees his father. Just as Tim is about to enter, his son appears and asks for a glass of water. Tim tells him to go back to bed. He'll bring him a cup in a moment. Knowing time nearly pauses outside, Tim enters to start the work. But as he sits down, he recalls what his wife said. It's not about promotions, money, or status. It's about time together. Tim decides to leave the work, leave the wardrobe, and finally be present. As he reaches into his pocket to leave, he finds a hole and no key. Outside the dresser, Tim's young son finds the key. He opens the dresser and discovers his father, aged beyond recognition, crumbling into dust. Unaware that the old man was his dad, the boy drops the key and enters the dresser, unknowingly suffering the same tragic fate as his father. If only Tim had listened to his grandmother all those years ago. You can play tricks with time, but you can never cheat it. Time Out explores the concept of time manipulation through a magical armoire that allows the protagonist Tim to pause time and work endlessly. The story draws inspiration from classic cautionary tales about the perils of tampering with time, reminiscent of narratives found in The Twilight Zone. The armoire itself serves as a central symbol in the story, representing both opportunity and entrapment. The production design pays special attention to the armoire's ominous presence, with intricately carved features and a foreboding aura. The episode's pacing and visual transitions effectively convey the disorientation associated with time manipulation. Time Out received mixed reactions from fans, with some praising its thought-provoking premise and moral complexity, while others found the time mechanics confusing. Discussions emerged about the episode's interpretation of time dilation and its implications on the protagonist's life. Despite differing opinions, the episode was acknowledged for its ambition and contribution to the anthology's exploration of diverse horror themes. Stories like this really make you confront a hard truth. We only have so much time in this world. When you're an old man lying on your deathbed, are you really going to regret not hitting that deadline? Or will you regret not spending more time with your kids? Because in the end, when you're gone, your job will post a listing for your replacement before the ink's even dried on your obituary. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, have a good weekend, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.